three different horns for this recording: a natural horn, a 2-valved horn, and a 3-valved horn. But I think it's important to point out that it's not just about the equipment, as with all three instruments, there's quite a lot we know about the way composers and performers such as Gounod, Mayfred and Gallet and Bremond approached these instruments. So we've been looking a lot at these performance practices and how they interact with the instruments. The natural horn I used was lent to me by the Bate collection in Oxford. This is an instrument I know very well. I've used it for 3 other recordings of repertoire by Jacques-François Gallet. The Bate instrument is an 1823 Cor solo. This means it's a special type of natural horn where the crooks are on the tuning slide rather than at the beginning of the instrument. And this instrument was made by Marcel-Auguste Raoux, the horn player that Gounod wrote the melodies for. The reason I chose this instrument is that Gallet himself had an extremely similar Cor solo made in 1821 by Marcel-Auguste's father, Lucien Joseph Raoux. With it, I like to explore the colours available on the instrument. Gallet felt that the stopped notes were an essential expressive element of the horn. For the Gounod and the Mayfred, I used a 2-valved horn from around about 1840 made by the Paris maker Guichard. This is a very special instrument which was lent to me by the collector Bruno Campman in Paris. I found it a really fascinating experience playing this instrument. It only has 2 valves, 2 what we call Sturzel valves, and really that's all you need. There's only 1 or 2 notes missing without the 3rd valve. The 2-valve instrument was the standard early in the valve horn's history, and people felt that adding a 3rd valve would ruin the sound of the instrument, that it would be too heavy, that there would be too many twists and turns in the pipework. What I did find was, in comparison to the 3-valve instrument, it's so much more ergonomic. It's lighter, I found it more flexible and much more mobile. This is really important when you're incorporating the stopped notes. Both Gounod and Mayfred strongly felt that to just use the valves would rob the instrument of its charm. And using your right hand to stop notes offers many benefits. You can be very nuanced with tuning, for example, being able to temper notes such as the leading note, a note that needs to rise slightly. You can even use the stop notes as an effect. So, for example, you might decide to stop a whole or part of a phrase. The final instrument I used is actually one that belongs to me, and it's one of my favourites. It's a 3-valve instrument, but it's a bit of a mix and match. The body is a Marcel-Auguste Raoux natural horn from 1862, so just around the time that Raoux was handing over his business to l'Abbé. But it also has this removable valve block consisting of 3 piston valves which were made by Bouzy in 1918. These removable valve horns are known as sauterelle horns, from the French word for grasshopper. I've come across some who say that the name comes from the stays on the valves, that they look like the legs of grasshoppers. But I've always thought it's because the valve block hops on and hops off. It's a really practical solution, and again one that points to the longevity of the natural horn. If you have one of these instruments, you can use it either as a natural horn or a valve horn. The provenance of this instrument is particularly interesting. Its previous owner was the British conductor and horn player Norman Delmar. Delmar started his career as a horn player and was second horn to Dennis Brain in the Royal Philharmonic and other ensembles in the 1940s.